For me, being a South African architect, our idea of public space is very different from the European idea of public space. But what I think is important is that the city is an important socializing environment for kids. They learn how to live with each other, they learn how to live with wider interest groups and they learn to deal with difference in the city. One of the things that I'm always interested in about learning spaces in cities is that we tend to associate learning spaces with safe spaces. And I know it sounds contradictory and sometimes even quite negative, but I think part of learning about the city is also learning to deal with danger. And I think that the best spaces in the city are both safe but also dangerous. And I think that what we'll end up with now is that kids tend not to spend that time in the city because everyone wants to be safe, and so they retreat from the city. And for me, the city has lost its ability to, in a way, civilize people, civilize young people. And so for me, it's more about encouraging activities in the city that engage the interest of kids, and to introduce them to the spaces of the city and of how to use those spaces. And if that can happen, I think learning will take place. I think the significance of red location in South Africa is that our cities in South Africa are very segregated. Because of apartheid, the cities were segregated by race. White people lived in one part, black people lived in another. But also modern town planning destroyed our cities because we segregated the city into different functions. So what red location is an attempt to do is to try and bring everything together in one place. Culture, learning, living, and socializing. And in that sense, it's very important because it can become a model for how we think about delivery, making our cities in the future. But for me, what's most important about red location is that we have reasserted the primacy of the street as the major public space in the city. You know, I have a feeling that Europeans, when they talk about public space, they don't include the street. And for me, the street is the life of the city. It's where everything happens. Commerce, people banging into each other, cars, noise, activity. And in a sense, I think we need to reassert the importance and significance of the street as a major public space network in cities. I think if we do that, we'll make much nicer cities in the future, and that's what we're trying to do in South Africa. You know, this is one of the difficulties of architecture, because architecture can improve society. But in the end, it doesn't matter how good a space is. If the people who are using it aren't good at using the space, then it's worthless. As an example, about 10 years ago, we completed 2 schools in Cape Town. One school was very well designed, I think. We went to the extent of having shops along the street edge so that the kids could make things and sell them to make money for the school and everything. And then we designed another school which is quite a traditional school. The really good school is a disaster. And it's a disaster not because of the architecture. The headmaster of that school is no good. He can't manage anything. And so we have kids running wild. There's a drug problem in the school. The police are always raiding it. The other school, which is not as good, is an absolute success. Why? Very good teacher runs the school. So the idea of human agency is something that has to act in concert with good space for it to really work. So we can't just rely on the design of good space to create a good working environment. We need the right kind of people to act on that space, to take advantage of it, to get the full benefit of the good design. Otherwise, with the best design in the world, the best space in the world, wrong people use it, it's finito. For me, to come, first of all, to be invited is a real honor, and secondly, to come to Sardinia and to experience the hospitality and the generosity of the school and of people like Massimo and Samantha and a whole lot of other people. Bibo has been great. I also think that I think it's probably done quite deliberately, but the school has selected a group of architects to come to work together who somehow have the same value system. I mean, we fight and argue with each other, but in the end we all care about the same things as architects. So it's been a fantastic experience, and the students are great. You know, I thought I would have a huge difficulty in not being able to speak good Italian with them, and they've gone out of their way to make me feel at home, and they all try and speak English. I try and speak a bit of bad Italian, and we understand each other. So I think it's probably one of the best things that's happened to me in a long, long time. It's been great. The generosity and the hospitality and just the way in which it has worked has been fantastic, and I hope that the outcomes of the student work will match the possibilities.